How would you like a 15% discount to my daily email, the stack of stuff, the show notes, discounts to the conference, all of that? All you need to do is text the word show to 33777. You'll get the annual subscription with a 15% discount to my daily email. You'll get the stack of stuff, the links to the show notes, discounts to the conference, and so much more. All you have to do is text the word show, SHOW, to 33777. Text show to 33777.
Welcome to the Eric Erickson Show podcast, Hour 3.
Hello, America. Welcome. It is Eric Erickson here. Delighted to have you with me. The phone number, 877-973-7425, should you wish to be on the program. I rarely would I do something like this, except I'm watching this video. There is a massive pileup of 100 vehicles in Michigan right now. Injuries are reported. Authorities are having trouble getting to the injured. It is 100 plus vehicles in Zeeland, Michigan. Fox Weather is covering this right now. And I bring this up because if you haven't seen the weather forecast, wherever you are in the United States, except parts of Florida, we are in for some wild weather coming up. And it keeps fluctuating, but it's like, for example, my weather forecast here in Middle Georgia for Friday already has snow predicted. I am supposed to go to my parents this weekend, and I'm not sure I'm going to be able to make it because the weather forecast there right now is predicting snow and ice. 95% chance of wintry weather north of Baton Rouge, where my parents live, with a low of 24 degrees, a high of 47. Temperatures feel like 14 degrees, and Cajuns can't drive in the snow. I'm a little concerned I'm going to have to reschedule and miss my mom's birthday. In fact, the way the weather is trending more and more, I mean, it just every time it updates, it gets worse. A buddy of mine is a meteorologist for a private company, and he's been sending me notes and has been saying, yeah, you're not going to make it. It's going to snow everywhere. And even the rain that they're projecting in Atlanta, he suspects is going to turn to freezing rain and snow when the weather forecast updates tomorrow as we see where this is going. So all of this is to say, we had woke up to snow yesterday, managed to go to church, had to teach Sunday school. It never got below freezing. There was just a lot of snow. The roads were fine. This coming weekend is projected to be terrible pretty much everywhere across the country. So please, even those of you in Sacramento are supposed to have weird weather this coming weekend, allegedly. So please pay attention to the weather wherever you are this coming week. Now let's do a reality check. As is inevitable, when I criticize the president, I get a lot of hate mail from the president's most ardent fans. The thing that I have learned is that, it was Brent Bozell, who's now, the ambassador to South Africa? Great guy. Man, I love that guy. He ran the Media Research Center for years, passed it off to his son to run. He's now the ambassador. I was in Eagle Publishing, running redstate.com back in the day, and was getting off an elevator. I think he was getting on, and he pushed me back into the elevator. Had never really met the man before, but he knew who I was, and he looks at me. He's got his finger in my face, says, I'm going to give you some advice. Don't ever move up here. This is in Washington, D.C. And he said, you need to stay where you are. I have undoubtedly lost some. In fact, I know for certain I've lost some great career opportunities related to both television and radio by not living in D.C. or New York. I live in Middle Georgia. But I will tell you what, I've also managed to avoid the bubble and the bubble thinking. So when I get Trump supporters who are very upset with me, and, it's just always interesting when they get really defensive What's more interesting is that it is suddenly the left that's even more defensive. The Trump fans can more or less take criticism these days in ways they used to not be able to, and the left just can't. But there are a lot of people who are convinced that the president can do no wrong. I wrote this morning about how up until this invasion of this church, Republicans were really on defense. There's a lot of polling out, not just from Hispanic voters, but independent voters who Republicans need in November to not vote Democrat. And they're very upset with the way ICE is handling things. And someone commented that, oh, you think they're upset with Renee Good being shot? What about the rapists and murderers who are getting away? I never said that. What the data shows, and I'm not just talking polling, none of y'all believe the polling anyway, and I don't really believe issue polling anyway, but focus grouping and exit polling are pretty good. Voters who are not Democrats, even some Republican-leaning voters who like Trump otherwise, they do not like the stories they're hearing about ICE being very heavy-handed with non-criminals and non-violent offenders. So, for example, on Saturday in Minneapolis, press reports claim ICE agents ate at a Mexican restaurant and then showed up later that day and arrested all the illegal alien employees. Having been fed by them, came back and arrested them. That doesn't sit well with a lot of people. And you and I can take the position, well, they're illegal aliens. And I want you to understand, we should deport all the illegal aliens, not just the criminals, the gangbangers. You and I can say that, though. And I said to campaigns and to candidates when they were running for office, know when you're in the minority, even when you think you're right. And there were a lot of Americans who say, round them all up and deport them. But start first, please, with the illegal aliens who are violent. Start first with the gangbangers. Start first with the criminals, and then go back for everyone else. Yesterday, Reuters has a picture of an ICE agent taking an old man out who is shirtless. He has a blanket over him. He is very old. According to his sister-in-law, ICE returned this half-naked man when they realized he was a naturalized U.S. citizen with no criminal record. Whether that's staged or not, true or not, it percolates in the American consciousness. And when you've got that happening and you have the president's obsessive oddity over Greenland, it's just weird. It's just the Greenland thing, the weird obsessiveness, like work with Denmark and let us expand our military presence there and get the rare earth minerals out. We don't need to own the island. In fact, frankly, if we own the island, you're going to have Judge Boasberg block us from getting the rare earth minerals. But as long as Denmark owns the island, Judge Boasberg can't stop the Danes from letting us get the minerals. So let Denmark own the island and pay for the welfare for the people who live there, and let's get the rare earth minerals and put our military on it. We've got a midterm election in November. In the special elections around the country, the Democrats have done well. I actually don't think the Democrats are going to do as well as they think they're going to do. The reason I don't think the Democrats are going to do as well as they think they're going to do is because Americans still really hate the Democrats. And there will be parts of the country where the Democrats do real well. California, they'll do real well. But Iowa, I don't think so. Indiana, I don't think so. Georgia, I don't think so, except in certain parts of suburban Atlanta. Although that could be enough for the Democrats, even in the state legislature. I mentioned we've got a special election where I am. It's a solid Republican district, and the Democrats are turning out right now in early voting. Republicans aren't. They could pick up that seat by default. But that's a special election. It'll go back to the Democrats or Republicans in November. Whether you like it or not, though, elections matter, issues matter, and the president's focus right now is not on the economy, it's on Greenland. And Americans are concerned with the heavy hand of ICE, although the progressives storming into churches are going to cause a backlash for progressives on that issue. Republicans need to find some issues to focus voters on, and that can't be Greenland. It can't be Greenland because the president can't control himself. He's got no impulse control, and he's ready to just invade the island. As I mentioned in the last half hour as well, there's another reality here too. The president's made the Canadians so mad they're flirting with the Chinese. He's made the Mexicans so mad they're flirting with the Chinese. He's made the Europeans so mad they're flirting with the Chinese. What if all of these countries together decide, you know what, screw it. For the next 8-9 months, we're willing to wreck our economy just so long as Trump's economy is wrecked and the Democrats take back. I don't know that they're that thoughtful. I don't know that they are. But if they start thinking that way, and please, boomers, spare me the email. Well, they're going to think that we knew because you did so. Whatever. If they start thinking that way and they're willing to suck it up for 8-9 months to hand the Democrats back to Congress, they may do it just to spite the president. The Federal Reserve's not going to help him. The Federal Reserve is not going to lower interest rates in their upcoming meeting in another week or so. They're not going to do it. Jerome Powell is mad at him for being criminally investigated. The other members of the Federal Reserve Board, most of them are mad at him for his investigation of Jerome Powell. You got congressional Republicans mad at him for it. You got congressional Republicans mad at him that he's distracting them from winning issues for November. I've said it before. I'll say it again. The Democrats taking back Congress would be a bad thing. And I'm starting to wonder if people in the White House disagree with me. If the Democrats get back Congress, they're just going to impeach Donald Trump. And I'm actually starting to wonder, maybe that's what he wants. Maybe the president wants the Democrats to take back the House because they'll be so obsessed with him, it'll expose their lunacy. And the president can actually play on offense against the Democrats. Right now, the Republicans control all of Washington. So everything that goes wrong gets blamed on the Republicans. Get the Democrats ownership of the House. The president's got a convenient cudgel to blame. So maybe he wants Hakeem Jeffries to be Speaker of the House so that the Democrats can get blamed for stuff. Maybe that's the case. I don't want the Democrats to be back in charge because it would be economic chaos. I don't want the Democrats to be back in charge because, well, they're nuts. I don't want the Democrats to be back in charge because they would be emboldened to insanity. I don't want the Democrats back in charge, frankly. It would not be good for any of us to see a Democratic Party take back the House of Representatives after losing 2 years ago now. And the reason is very simple, because they will never realize that they were wrong about stuff. The Democrats, if they take victory in November, they'll double down on they were right on everything, and they will push with gusto for revenge. And it'll be brutal for all of us to have to deal with. It'll be deeply economically unstabilizing. And yeah, I mean, maybe Trump's thinking, well, for 28, that'll help Vance. I just want to help the country. And the best way to help the country is for Republicans to focus on winning issues. And those winning issues are talk up the economy. There's actually very good data out there for the president right now on the economy, even as the data shows that it's Americans paying the tariffs. There's actually the deficit has gone down because the tariffs in large part. The economy is not going into recession, as so many people, myself included, kind of expected because of the tariffs. The American people continue to spend robustly. He's got a winning message. Being distracted by Greenland, claiming he's targeting Greenland in part because Norway didn't give him the Nobel Peace Prize, is going to strike people as petty. Rounding up illegal alien grandfathers and pulling them out of their houses shirtless looks heartless. You know, there's a story out there the president can tell. Do you know murder is at an all-time low in Washington, D.C.? There has not been a murder in Washington, D.C. for over 400 hours. That is the longest time span. There hasn't been a murder in Washington, D.C. since the Obama administration. Crime is down in Memphis, Tennessee. The president has incredible stories to tell. But he's distracting everybody with Greenland. He needs to distract people with success. Hello, welcome. It is Eric Erickson here. I'm going to do something somewhat unusual here, and I want to talk about my newest advertiser because this one. So when I choose advertisers for this program, just so you know, I'm kind of particular, and it makes everyone around me kind of mad. I'm not going to advertise some sort of health food I don't eat. Y'all know, and some of these survivalist prepper things. No, but I had a problem. A couple of years ago, I got doxxed. That is where people put your home information online for you to be harassed. We got swatted a while back. We had someone called 911 and pretended to be me, claiming I just murdered my wife, was going to go across the street. The SWAT team surrounded our house. There have been people online who were able to tie different accounts to my kids. I used to put up pictures of my kids years ago, and they asked me to stop. And I'm glad they did when they were young. And now that they're older, they don't want me to put up pictures of them. But there have been people who have gone into our school's website and other websites to try to find pictures. There have been just accidental things with my daughter at college getting tied into her and having stuff come up online. And it's really disturbing what crazy people can do online. And it's not just to me. It can happen to you as well. There are a lot of websites out there now where if you go to those websites, you can put in information on someone. And I use these as when I was a lawyer, by the way, and they've gotten even better. Or you can put in Eric Erickson, and it'll come up with, you say Eric Erickson, Macon, Georgia. It comes up with my house, my family, possible relatives, wherever they are in the country, vehicles that we may own, possibly VIN numbers. It is a massive invasion of privacy. Data brokers go out there and they sell this information to other people. And there are some good companies out there that push back against them, and I am partnering with Incogni because of these invasions of privacy to protect you from spams and scams and digital threats. They can clean up your online record and keep people from being able to find you. And none of them do a perfect job. Some of them do a very good job. Incogni does. It's Incogni. That's how it's spelled. Incogni. You get 60% off the regular price when you use my name, Eric, at incogni.com/Eric. 60% off. Use my name, Eric, Incogni, incogni.com/ERICK. Your personal information is very valuable, and you are the product in many cases that people are targeting online when they buy it. I abhor the idea that someone could go onto one of these data brokers and find where I live and pictures of my kids. In fact, we had to reach out to a place that will go nameless that very innocently put my daughter's name up, and it started coming up in data searches related to me. But Incogni can help. You don't have to be some sort of high-profile VIP. These people want your data, too, to sell, to harass, to scam. Incogni is Incogni, incogni.com/Eric. You might find them very useful to helping you protect yourself online. Howdy. Welcome. It is Eric Erickson here. I got to quote my friend Guy Benson. He says about Trump in the Greenland stuff, he put it in writing. You can't call theories about his motivation Trump derangement syndrome if he's writing it down and signing his name to it. I'm all for acquiring Greenland in a mutually beneficial way if possible, but aggressively antagonizing allies this way is insanely counterproductive. Yes. Thank you. Thank you. Now, I got an email from a listener, from David. Let me read you David's email. I should probably start doing these listener email segments, and David can be the first one. This is from listener David. First, I'm a longtime listener and a conservative. Here's what's bugging me. Everyone has access to a loudspeaker, and many engage their mouths before their brains. So be it. My burning question is about motivation. I can't get inside the mind of an activist or a liberal, but maybe I'm repeating myself, and perhaps you have the key to their motivation. I think I understand Trump derangement syndrome, but maybe I don't. I also wonder if someone has stopped to sit down with Trump to explore his agenda. A lot of what he does is influenced by what he thinks, but do we really know what his agenda is? What is it that creates Trump derangement syndrome and why? It's not just because he was a former Democrat. It has to be more than that. I'm tired of the shrill rhetoric because it's upsetting but not rational. I'm trying to understand where people on the left are coming from if they know what they want and why they want it. You can be a voice to help explain that to us uninformed. I'm just tired of all the conflict and really would like to have some peace. Well, you're probably not going to get peace. But I want to play you some audio here. This is of an ICE agent. There is a progressive activist group that claims to be journalists, and they follow the protesters around, filming what's going on, filming the ICE agents. This is a Hispanic, no less, Hispanic ICE agent.
Reporting. We're here to arrest a child sex offender. And you guys are out here honking.
Oh, we're not. No, we're press. No, we're not.
That vehicle right there is honking and impeding our investigations while we're trying to arrest a child sex offender. That's who you guys are protecting. Insane.
Hispanic ICE officer trying to detain a child sex offender, and the progressives are impeding the investigation. Why? Part of this has to do with power, but there's a larger issue here. And David, I'm going to try not to go down the rabbit hole and be over everyone's head. But I want you to listen to me, because I'm not making this up. This is for real. Progressives over time have embraced in postmodernism. What is postmodernism? First, let's start there. In modernity, in the philosophical time period we called modernity, there were certain objective truths, and there were things you could know for sure. Postmodernity seeds the idea that nothing is really true and nothing is really certain. So, for example, in modernity, we could say the grass is green. In postmodernity, someone seeds a little doubt in your mind. How do you know it's really green? And do you see the same green that other people see? And if you don't, how can you say it's really green? Have you ever thought about that? Do you and I, when we look at a leaf, see the same shade of green or not? And if we don't, can we really say with certain that it is green? They sow the doubt. There used to be certainty. There was green grass and green leaves, but is it really the same color? You have your truth, I have my truth. There is no truth. It's my truth. And it doesn't matter if my truth is a lie. To me, it is true, and therefore that's what matters. When you get to that point, you then get to the point of seeing the world as oppressors and oppressed. And this, David, is what ultimately is going on here in the minds of progressives. Is they tend not to be in church. They have the same, because they're made in the image and likeness of God, so they have that same little seed planted in their head that there is a higher purpose for them, and they are out to fulfill that higher purpose. But in trying to fulfill that higher purpose, they see the world in terms of victims and victimizers, oppressors and oppressed. Now, who are the oppressors? The oppressors are defined by their classes, their race, their sex, their sexual identity, their heteronormativity, their education, their ableism, all of these things. And the white people, the college-educated white people, the Christian college-educated white people who are heterosexuals with no disabilities, those are the most oppressive people. And the further away you are from those things, the more oppressed you are. And the left has embraced this idea that the oppressed have moral clarity. By virtue of your comfortable existence, you do not have moral clarity. This gets back to the individual who was at the protest, who was yelling at the people. Let me see if I can pull this clip up and get it to the right part. This is the protester at the church protest in Minnesota.
All these comfortable white people who are living lavish, comfortable lives.
See that? All those comfortable white people living lavish, comfortable lives. And when he goes outside, he starts harassing a family getting into a van.
Living real comfortable while the people starve. Living real comfortable while children are dragged into concentration camps. You're all living real comfortable, aren't you?
It's a family with a Ford van. Comfortable white people. See, this man, who, by the way, is white, he identifies as an ally with the oppressed. And these are white people in a church, and therefore they are Christians, and they're white. They are the oppressor. And the way one gains value if you are white in this view is that you are an ally of the oppressed. And to be an ally of the oppressed, you must speak up for them. You must allow them to dominate the conversation. You must harass your own class of people. So white guy harassing white people, telling them they're comfortable. And what does he say to them as he is confronting them? Well, let me see if I can pull up this clip here.
You have your nice clothes, but what do you do? What do you do to stand for your Somali and Latino communities? I'm not going to comment. You have no comment. Exactly.
Mentions their nice clothes.
Renee, good. Renee, good.
Notice how many of these people are white in this protest. There are a lot of white people here. Those of you on radio can't see it. I'm watching
All these comfortable white people who are living lavish, comfortable lives while children are dragged into concentration camps. You're living real life, nice lives with your lattes, doing absolutely nothing for your Latino and Somali brothers and sisters. You come here to a man wearing a suit. Is a preacher? Did Jesus wear a suit? Did Jesus profit off the words? No. Jesus would die with immigrants. You do not touch me. Touch me again and see what happens.
Hey, you can't.
You are a fake Christian. Why are you not standing with your Somali and Latino communities? Why do I not see you out at Whipple every day?
Why do I see you at Whipple? That's the federal detention center. See, if they're not there protesting, they're bad Christians. If they're not there protesting, they're not allies. And if you're not an ally, you're an enemy. This is a poisonous ideology that has infested the progressive mind. So, David, you understand Trump derangement syndrome, but where is the shrill rhetoric coming from? It's not rational. I'm trying to understand where people on the left are coming from, if they know what they want and why they want it. This is, I'm telling you, what is at play here is these progressives have embraced critical theory. We don't talk about critical theory anymore. For a while there, critical theory was all the rage. Everybody was talking about it. Chris Rufo put a spotlight on it. We don't talk about it anymore, but it is what has infected the mind of the left. It is how the left sees things. Now, think about the Democratic Party. In the Democratic Party now, there's a quota. You have to have so many men, so many women, so many gays, so many trans, so many black, so many white, so many morbidly obese, so many skinny. You have to have all these different classes of people represented. What they believe and what their end game is that until the oppressed dominate, there can be no justice and there can be no peace. Yes, no justice, no peace. They chant it. They mean it. Until the oppressed are dominate the oppressor class, there can be no justice and no peace. Now, you and I may look at this and say, well, won't they just become the oppressor? And the Democratic Party says no, they will not become the oppressor. There will be peace. When the oppressed are in the position of the oppressor, because they have been afflicted, they will know not to afflict. Now, you and I both know that's nonsense. It's a fatal flaw in critical theory. This is why they don't like free speech. They believe that speech, that power comes from word choice, and you have to suppress the word choice of the oppressor class and allow the oppressed to rise in their choice of words and adopt their language in order to, you heard this phrase before, subvert the dominant paradigm. That's what this is. You embrace the woke speak of the oppressed class, and you force everyone to use their language. You see this in transgenderism. It's not a boy anymore, and it's no longer a trans girl. It's just a girl. It's no longer a woman who wants to be a man. It's a trans man, and that trans man is a man who can get pregnant. It's birth person, not mother, because birth person includes and empowers the trans community, where mother or mom or pregnant woman is exclusionary, and we can't exclude. We have to include. If it sounds insane, you're right. But this, David, is what they're thinking. This, David, is what has gone on. They have been poisoned by critical theory. Where does critical theory come from? It is taught in colleges. It's taught in a lot of public schools. A lot of progressive teachers have embraced this worldview, and they have indoctrinated others into this worldview. A lot of these people come from progressive enclaves in colleges that you and I do not inhabit, and they are taught this there. And so this wackadoo white guy with his long, scraggly hair, beard, and mustache can be attacking comfortable whites because in doing so, he's signaling he is an ally to the oppressed. And so why will they block the investigation of ICE officers into finding a child molester or child predator? Because that child molester or child predator is non-white, which means they're a victim class. And isn't it ironic that the ICE agent who lectured these people is Hispanic? That Hispanic man is a traitor to his class. That Hispanic man can never be free of his class. And so what the left believes is he is acting white. And by acting white, he is no longer part of his community. He's an enemy to his community. But he also can never get out of his community, because if you're Hispanic, you will always be Hispanic. You will always be the oppressed class. And the only way you can get out of being oppressed is to be a traitor to your class and behave like the white people. There is a coherence to the insanity. It is what they believe. It is why they act. They believe that white men who are heterosexuals, Christians, have no disability, and also lean conservative are the greatest oppressors on the planet. And the further away from that you are, say a Somali immigrant, the more of an oppressed person you are. And they must signal their allyship with the oppressed to subvert the dominant paradigm. And it is the cause of the day. It is what gives them their mission. It is what empowers them. Why? Because they have no eternity. They must bring heaven to earth because they do not believe in eternity. And so they must subvert the dominant paradigm of the oppressor class in favor of the oppressed so that they can bring heaven to earth and build a utopia here, because this is the best they will have it. And so in embracing critical theory and declaring their allyship with the left, they must bring heaven to earth because there is no real heaven in their mind. And this is how they will get it, through agitation and opposition and protest and perhaps violence. Hello, welcome. It is Eric Erickson here. Very, very happy to have you guys with me. I hope that you have a fantastic rest of the MLK holiday. It is a holiday where you may not know this, but there is one country in the Middle East that has a Martin Luther King Jr. road, a road named after MLK. There's only one country in the Middle East. Do you have any idea what it is? Israel. That's right, Israel. I want to just conclude here with this. There are a lot of people in this day and age on the right who want to attack Martin Luther King Jr., who want to say he was a communist or what have you. Martin Luther King Jr. took a bullet for his beliefs. Martin Luther King Jr. led a peaceful people to demand rights and was killed for it. I've never understood the hostility to Martin Luther King Jr. You don't have to agree with everything he said. You don't have to agree with the way he lived his whole life. He wasn't a perfect person. But he also took a bullet because he had this wild idea that everyone should actually be equal because our founding document said so. What is most notable is that there are people on the left now who have, again, embraced critical theory, who believe Martin Luther King Jr. was a failure because he was a pacifist, and who believe that we should judge each other by our skin. This is where the Democratic Party is today. If you want to put full perspective on the Democratic Party here on Martin Luther King Jr. Day, the Democratic Party is now a party that believes you should be judged on your race, on your skin. That's what critical theory does. That's what critical theory is. These protesters who stormed this church in Minnesota believe that the quote-unquote comfortable whites should be in the streets in allyship with their Somali and Latino brothers because that's the language of critical theory. Martin Luther King Jr. said he wanted a country where we were judged by the content of our character, not the color of our skin. And the modern Democratic Party and progressive left says, what a loser. We should all be judged by the color of our skin. We can never escape that class, and we should embrace that level of racism in how we live our lives. The Democratic Party of today rejects Dr. King's legacy.